Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Monday the 3rd of April. So, where are we going to go today? Well, let's have a quick look at the key news events that may be impacting us. The first thing is, actually, before we even get onto this, of course, I don't know if you've seen it yet, but oil spiked up massively over the weekend, with OPEC now pushing to decreased output and consequently increased prices by about $5 a barrel. So be prepared to go and get more expensive petrol in the morning or today when you go and fill up later, because I can tell you it won't go up as slowly as it comes down. Right, so that was the key bit of news out there that I took from this morning. Apparently there's still OPEC meetings running through today, but I think the mention of, it may have been earlier today, but the mention of decreasing productivity by a significant amount has had its effect there. Right, now there isn't too much else there today. Certainly not through this morning. We've got the manufacturing PMI later for the US at 3, so it's quite late in the day, so well, left to our own devices really. Tomorrow, I'm just looking through the week a little bit now. Tomorrow we've got the Australian cash rate, interest rate, any changes there. It's expected by a lot of people to be left alone, although it's shown a 0.25 rate on here. There's almost reason for it to be left alone, but it might catch up that little bit more. And we got the Reserve Bank of New Zealand then on Wednesday, so two central banks there, two of the majors coming out, both of them looking at a 0.25% increase at this stage. Now if that's being priced in still at 3.85, if it doesn't happen, well, that could be the shocker, or it could be just said that that's going to be the last one for a while. Bank holiday, of course, coming on Friday. We do have US data on that day. Personally, I won't be trading on that day. The volatility around that data could be quite horrific. We'll see, but I'm not going to be around to get involved in it. So it's really the earlier part of the week there. Two central banks. Not a lot now for today. Let's have a look at the markets themselves, starting off looking at euro dollar. You can see, well, we've sort of reacted to that near double top from into last week there, into its weekly R1 prior highs there. It's reacted to those, finally rolled over, and it's certainly rolled through the Asian session there. If we come down to the hourlies here, it's just sort of pushed on and continued selling off. Obviously not good news in terms of the OPEC meeting for a lot of currencies, I want to thought, although eventually, well, it's a battle now because it'll be pushing inflation up higher, and maybe we will see more 0.25% increases still coming. How that will quell the price of oil is another matter, or kick inflation that we can't manage out, but that's what we've got to contend with anyway. Looking at the euro at the moment, it could pull back and regain some of this today, but it really has, with the lower highs coming through there. It's certainly been the end of the trend. It's just difficult from where it is. So it's a same old story with the euro. Difficult from where it is. It seems like I've been going through that most of this year. The pound dollar, on the other hand, it's just come out. It's pretty similar into its recent highs there. It pushed up to in Friday. In the afternoon there, into its weekly R2, so quite a way up, and has sold since then. So it's still largely putting higher lows, higher highs, although it has broken the low between the other low and the significant high there. So we'll see how things shape up this morning. Again, just looking at it, there's a possibility this will curl around untouched daily pivots. We'll see what happens this morning, and we could see these recover a bit at least. Dollar yen, well, the dollar yen, it's still climbing upwards. and still pushing up. It's consolidated. That didn't react to any of this. In fact, it was already looking soft anyway, and it's just looking marginally softer. Really horrible day on Friday there, just not going anywhere. Glad I was not in that, and won't be in it today either. Aussie dollar, with the Aussie dollar sitting around that lower trend line still, it's struggling to do anything again. Well, you see how bitty it looks, lower highs coming through. It's, to me, maybe if it rolls, we get a bit more rollover, we could see a continuation of this move, but for now I won't be looking at this. Now the Canadian dollar, let's just go through the bigger picture. The Canadian dollar's been recovering quite well from previously being sold, well, the dollar being bought, the Canadian dollar effectively being sold, and it's sort of moved out of its this pivotal range. The moment again it's pulled back a little bit, but I would like to see it come back to this weekly pivot. That would actually make me quite happy, because I would be looking to short on a reaction to that. But at the moment it's slow, but it's looking southbound on this, and it may just continue through. So beneficiary of oil prices, of course. So hence why we probably haven't seen it react the same as the other, or as much as the other markets, but it has had some reaction for sure. Euro yen again this morning. It's, don't know if you heard the deep breath of air that just came out there. It's still on the weekly pivot basis, just come short of its weekly pivot itself. It's catching the bounce a little bit again. So whether it can break these highs here, maybe post 8 o'clock, it could be a bit of interest for the upside. It's sticky and horrible, and it's put lower highs in, 2 lower highs in there, but this one on low volumes. We'll see how that develops. Euro Aussie is a mess. Euro CAD, I expected something better from this, but it's already moved down and gapped down on the shorter time frames here. So it is seeing a bit of softening coming through here. This is last week as a whole. You can see how it promised to do something different, but it never did. I did a bit on actually Thursday there, but largely on the downside here, lower highs in there. So expect that to continue, but again, do I want to sell where it is at the moment? Not really, and I certainly don't want to buy it. Right, other markets here. I'm going to just flick through briefly. We'll look at the pound CAD, because it's another one that's been moving quite cleanly. It's not there at the moment, and the Aussie yen was certainly a pair last week that was doing okay, actually, eventually doing okay. The question is, well, it was doing okay then on the end of the week it but this move, but even the Aussie yen now is still looking like it's got the potential here, perhaps for further upside again. So there's a few there on the cusp, and it's just a bit of patience this morning for sure. Morning, Michael and Ian. Flo, morning. So there we are. That's where we are at the moment. The Aussie, that's what the currency is. The Canadian dollar seems to be hanging in there pretty reasonably. The Aussie might surprise a little bit more. The yen certainly off, basically. We could see the euro yen setting up, so there's a few pairs to be watching. Right, let's look at just switch markets here. We'll look at the oil price. We'll do that first, actually. You see what's happened here. Quite a significant gap, and when you look at it on the dailies here, back into that sort of $81 barrel. I'd seen it last week pushing up there and thinking, well, this is looking bullish for the higher lows coming through, but goodness, wouldn't have expected that. It's whether or not it fills the gap now. At some stage it probably will, and there'll be pressure put on OPEC in terms of dropping oil prices again, but whether much will be listened, that's another thing. and avoiding, if not dropping the prices, increasing the output to reduce the prices. Certainly this isn't the morning a lot of people would want to see. Okay, UK oil, Brent's exactly the same, well, nearly the same there. It's pushed up there as well, really big gap up on the basis of that. Looking through gold then, I missed gold out just before I get told off for missing gold out. Gold's not particularly looking good this morning, off a bit already, started the week down as well. This inflation certainly not helping gold at this stage, and this oil price not helping. It's got into a bit of a mess. In fact, it's best looked at from the daily basis. It needs to work its way out of this horrible sort of choppy sort of session it's running through at the moment. All time. Right, CSI 300. This shouldn't have been open today, I don't think, because it's a bank holiday. And 3rd of April. I'll have a look. 3rd of April, it is open. There we go, it has been open this morning. I thought it was bank holiday China. Anyway, continuing to push up here at this stage, so it's sort of the light at the end of the tunnel for the equity markets today. The Nikkei also up. But then we look at the other markets, they're slightly down this morning. The Nifty 50, well, Nifty 50 overall still in a bear pattern, but it has put that higher low in, so we'll see. But for now, down today. But then we look at the US markets, actually not looking quite as bad as I would have expected there. I thought the knock-on effect of the oil might have just hit some of these, but not to be. It's looking still pretty solid on that S&P and the Dow Jones again, and the Nasdaq. All three looking quite positive at the moment. The Nasdaq, as I said last week, outperforming, and certainly has. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday pushing up there solidly, and I expect more of this really. The DAX also back into it's still dilly-dallying around its prior highs there, yearly highs, not far off them, and looking reasonably positive. So perhaps we can see something more coming through here this morning as we push through. I'm just looking at the hourlies here, certainly looking quite positive where it is at the moment. Okay, FTSE. Just looking at the FTSE. FTSE still behind the curve somewhat, but making its way back up there slowly and steadily, but certainly off at the moment, but I could continue. So there we go. Let's just see what's been happening. I know in the crypto world, one or two currencies have moved a little bit. Bitcoin's off actually on both days, Saturday and Sunday. Bitcoin off and off to this morning already. Ethereum, and let's just go and have a look at Ripple. So all three of them are off this morning, still kicking around the highs, hanging around the highs there. Just come back to Bitcoin there, so still holding up okay, but not possibly the moves that might have been expected by some. There's the dodgy coin pushing up at least one day out of the weekend there, only to draw back down again. But there you go. Dodgy to say the least. Anyway, on that note, not a great deal of change there really. It's they're all consolidating around the highs, or pretty much around those highs. For the holders of the coins, well, there is the potential the longer it holds around there, maybe it will breaks the upside at some stage. That is it for me. I wish you a great day's trading, and I'll catch you tomorrow morning. Bye for now.